Conversations as it relates to Stephanie's role. She's facilitating conversations among our editorial team. Conversations in Stephanie's developmental editor role. She's facilitating conversations with authors rather than simply giving them a reject. And conversations really about the critical and controversial issues that are in international education, and that's through our different social media channels. Now we're going to just walk through a few things related to the system. This is the more how-to part of this meeting. And then at the end of this is when we're just going to open it up for comments, questions, and sharing advice. We have new assistant and associate editors, and we have people that have been assistant and associate editors with us for years. They can tell you the history of the journal. We would like people to share their wisdom, their best practices with each other, ask questions, share ideas, and Stephanie will facilitate that part of the meeting. We'll have 30 to 40 minutes, it looks like, for that. But I did want to highlight that we have installed the latest version of the Open Journals system. This means even if you're a longtime assistant or associate editor, there's some new things about the journal and it's the system that you absolutely need to know to do your job well. So we need to make sure everyone knows what these are. These can be very simple things like, first of all, the system is more accessible. In other words, it meets universal accessibility standards, which means it's much more readable for individuals that need accessible technologies and ways to present websites. We're very happy about that. It's more user-friendly. Authors can literally drag all their files at once to upload rather than have to upload them one by one and assign them. That's nice. It allows us to blind carbon copy reviewers on the final decision letter, which means reviewers who have done all this hard work, they've invested 1 or 2 and sometimes 3 rounds of feedback. They sometimes want to know that decision. They want to know what finally happened. And it allows us to communicate that to the reviewers. It helps us with some things on the journal editing side, including using digital object identifiers and the way that we do references and other things. The one thing that you and all members of our team need to know is it's important to bookmark the journal's handbook. And when I say bookmark, this isn't a suggestion, this is an absolute must. And the handbook is not just a how-to book. The handbook is what makes sure that we are an ethical journal that follows consistent practices, and we do that consistently. The issues that can come up are when an associate editor or an assistant editor hasn't looked at the handbook and isn't following one of our processes, and all of a sudden we're in a very precarious situation where we're dealing with an ethical issue because we haven't necessarily followed some of the processes outlined here. You can see it's a really long handbook, but it can, if you want to read it sometime, enjoy. But you really just need to read your part, which if you go here to the review stage, if you're an associate editor, you can see we have our workflow laid out. You can see basically what that is and basically what our typical workflow rate is. Typically we'll share this in just a second. It describes your responsibilities, and then it says you should be looking for certain emails. So for example, you will be getting an email that says editorial assignment. And if you're an assistant editor, you'll be getting an email called review assignment. And we'll give you some tips related to how to manage those emails in a second. You'll notice that it gives you step-by-step instructions on how to weigh the value of the manuscript. And again, I can't emphasize this enough. Don't simply say, what's my judgment related to this? Please refer to our aims and scope. Please refer to our the things that we've explicitly say that we're prioritizing. You might notice here, and we'll highlight again, prioritizing under-researched aspects of the field, written by authors from countries or contexts that are underrepresented in the journal, centers perspectives of women, people of color, and individuals from the global South, usually underutilized theories, methodologies, and frameworks. If for some reason you see an article that you feel like you've seen that article before, that means it probably doesn't meet some of these criteria. So please use these. We also explicitly added some reasons to decline manuscripts in this process, and you'll see that as well. But it doesn't just provide kind of conceptual feedback, it tells you literally step by step what to do. How to search for registered reviewers, how to use the filter, criteria to look for reviewers, how to invite people inside our network, outside our network, and we're going to do a walkthrough in just a second to highlight that. If you're a new assistant editor, it'll tell you what your role is as well, and it will tell you how to think about processing a manuscript and taking on a new manuscript assignment.